A very good evening to all of you. Hope all of you are doing well and welcome to another weekly career class. Today's topic is scope of artificial intelligence and machine learning in the US. And today's speaker is Krishna Prasad. Krishna Prasad, he completed his B.Tech from Vellore Institute of Technology in 2022 and currently he is pursuing his MS from the University of Michigan in the US. He also is a former student of the study abroad program here at iDream Career. If you would want to know about this, we can share the details with you in the chat. So today we'll be asking Krishna a set of questions right on today's topic, and we'll try to understand about his journey and what really is the scope of this field, especially in context of the US. So hi Krishna and welcome. It's an extreme pleasure to have.
Thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, I'm super grateful to iDream for having given me this opportunity. And of course, my journey so far. Thank you.
So, Krishna, we would like you to start with, telling us a bit more about yourself. I briefly introduce you. Maybe you can tell about yourself and your journey, education journey so far. Thanks.
Right. So my education so far, I mean, 11th, 12th, I finished in Bangalore, the Samhita Academy. But again, I was not very interested in academics because well, it did not make sense to me to memorize so much, like I cannot retain information. So I decided to do the next best thing. But I was still very interested in science and physics and all that. So I decided to do the next best thing and basically like go through the internet and go through some lectures and videos online to get some information about practical experience, practical applications of the stuff that we're studying. So this is the base, in terms of my extracurriculars, why I place give more extracurriculars more importance. When then I joined VIT Vellore, and I joined VIT Vellore under electronics and instrumentation for B.Tech. Obviously, it's the normal story of, oh, okay, I didn't get CS, so I'll do instrumentation kind of thing. But no, instrumentation was related to some aspects of robotics and sensors and things like that, which I was interested in. So I finally went to VIT, where basically I went through aspects of robotics, web development, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, so basic software development, and your hardware development using platforms like Arduino, Raspberry Pi, so on and so forth. So all these were extracurriculars. So again, I did not pay attention to my academics, but I joined a lot of hackathons. I joined and I won some of them as well, which was a big plus in my profile because again, I did not pay attention to academics, right? Hackathons and then clubs and chapters in VIT Vellore, which is one of the reasons I joined VIT. So clubs and chapters play a very important role for your profile because initially when you join a undergrad college, you do not really know as to what you're doing and what the current trends in technology are. So clubs and chapters help you a lot in terms of getting yourself up to speed with what is happening in the world right now. Colleges are still following that syllabus of what is set by the government, by the board of the university, and so on and so forth, which may not be updated. So it is really important to join these clubs and chapters for a good profile. And yeah, finally, in VIT, when I graduated at the fourth year, I was leading autonomous underwater vehicles team, and I had helped establish autonomous vehicles research center in VIT, and also I had joined the Mars rover team and then left it, and so on and so forth. So my profile was pretty strong at the end of 4 years in terms of co-curriculars. In terms of practical experience, so I had finished a couple of internships in my second and third and fourth year as well. Um, and I seeked out like active internships outside India, remote internships. So my first remote internship outside was in Canada. It's an AI based software, AI based consultancy company. So yeah, so I feel like my journey so far has been largely practical experience. mixed with, okay, I got to get my marks done in order to graduate. So, and yeah, this is the reason I'm here today, and I'm finally studying MS.AI in University of Michigan, Dearborn, concentration of computer vision, basically.
Thanks for that, Krishna, for briefly telling about your journey. So we'll move on to the next question now, guys. So what is AI and machine learning?
Okay, so basically, artificial intelligence and machine learning are two sides of the same coin. Um, Machine learning is one step below artificial intelligence. So, machine learning is basically you have a set of rules and you allow your input variables, such as, say, for example, you want to predict the price of a house in an area. So you provide the computer with, say, the the size of the house, the location of the house, previous owner, so on and so forth. And the computer comes up with uses a very basic algorithm to come up with this price list, basically. So basic algorithms that such as like logistic regression or linear regression, all these are very old mathematical proofs, and machine learning uses that. It's based on probability, essentially. Whereas your artificial intelligence is a step higher than that. It has various applications. Um, Artificial intelligence is not just computer science. When you're learning AI, you need to look at all aspects of your project. So, for example, AI can be used to um, detect detect a person, right? It could remember what a person is. So, using just your camera feed, right? So artificial intelligence is basically you create a very minimal version of a brain. Like you use like maybe 1,000 neurons compared to 1 billion plus neurons in your head, right? And you make it learn the world around it by giving it a lot of data, and then it understands the data. You explain to the neurons, okay, this is what you need to understand out of this data, and finally gives you an output. So the reason I'm making this so generalized is AI has like a spectrum of applications. So in the beginning, you look at maybe in the mechanical field, which is most counterintuitive thing, right? So AI can be used to generate different shapes and like different shapes for new types of locomotion in robotics, and like lightweight material that can be used, how to place these lightweight materials in order to create the most strength. So all these problems can be solved by AI because they generate very unintuitive designs, right? And they're way stronger than what humans would have designed. But AI is very here. The application is mechanical. At the same time, when you come to something like maybe uh, during COVID times, you want to detect if a person is wearing a face mask. So this is a pretty software application. Just basically capture an image of a person wearing a mask, and then you train your maybe 1,000 neurons to figure out if the person is wearing a mask or not. So this has varied range of applications. So AI, I feel like, is this kind of field where you need to know what your application is. At the same time, you need to be able to design these neuron placements, basically.
Thanks for that, Krishna. So I'd like to remind our viewers that if at any point you have any queries, please feel free to post them in the chat. We'll take them towards the end. So moving on to the next question. The next question has essentially two parts. So first of all, do you think that you are placed right now in the ideal course and college? And if yes, how did you manage to achieve this?
I'm definitely in the best possible program that I could be in. Number one, it's financially sound. Um, and number two, it is exactly what I wanted to do. So I wanted to do computer vision in artificial intelligence. And yeah, this college offered exactly that. And yeah, I'm happy where I am right now. And what was the second part again?
So if yes, like you said, you are very much in the ideal course in college. So how did you manage to achieve this?
Oh,
What
okay.
level of preparation went into it and things like that?
So I joined the I Dream Career Study Abroad program for this very reason. I'm not really good with finding colleges and putting in the time to research and all that. So I really needed Parmita ma'am and Shilpa ma'am's help. And yeah, they went through a bunch of colleges and bunch of programs that seemed like the best fit for me. And after that, we spent a lot of time just editing our SOPs and basically applications and all that. It was a pretty stressful process, but Parmita ma'am and Shilpa ma'am were there all throughout. And yeah, I feel like this is the only reason I'm here today. Otherwise, I feel like I would not have put in the effort to, you know, uh, be here basically.
All right. So thanks for that. And let's move on to the next question, which is what all opportunities you have found so far being out there in
Okay.
the US?
So I've just been here 2 months, but I can give you a bunch of potential opportunities coming to the US. The reason I chose to come to the US. So number one, as far as what I've gotten so far, I've talked to a professor, my AI professor. He has given me a project, and potentially this will turn into a research assistance uh, kind of situation, which is what I'm hoping for. More than that, let's look at why the US and what are the potential opportunities here. uh, Obviously, when you're coming to the US, you can still have the same kind of mentality as you had in India, which is okay, I'm going to go to an engineering college, I'm going to get my placement done, hope for a 12 LPA job, and that's pretty much it. So you can do that here as well. Like you can have that objective, and many people do that. But the US has a lot more to offer in terms of your career growth. This could be in terms of research and development, management, um, creation of a startup, or like you can make your own startup, or like something in between where you're working for a corporate but you still have your own entity. So these are the three different opportunities that are there after you finish graduating here. While studying, you have opportunities such as teaching assistants, which is basically you help your professor maybe grade their papers, and like the classes that they're taking, grade their papers, talk to the students, guide their projects, and all that. Then you have research assistantship, which is basically they have a bunch of projects that they're working on, and then they hire students to work on the grunt work. So basically like calculations and programming and all that, but you get to learn a lot through this process, which is really important. And finally, you have something along the lines of campus jobs. So you can join like maybe the IT services desk, or like event management team, and so on and so forth. And they pay you minimal wage plus something after one semester. Yeah, these are the different opportunities in college. And in terms of, let's get back to our R&D and job opportunities, so on and so forth. So if you in the US, the best part about applying for an R&D job is they will expect you to have a bunch of research paper publications. So maybe like two or three at the very least. So this shows them that you're capable of constructing a solution from scratch, which is what research papers are about, and they need to have a high impact factor. uh, the reason it is so much more easier to do that here is because you have the best resources in terms of the equipment, in terms of the faculty, so on and so forth. And it's not as stressful as in India, where you have to meet certain thresholds under the professors this thing, and only then you get to publish it. It's not like that here. You can show your results and tell them that this is research, this is what the results are. This may not be what you expected, and they're completely okay with it. So So there's a lot of resources for you to put out these papers. Secondly, if you're looking for a job, again, it comes down to, especially in the computer science field, it comes down to having your data structures and algorithms down, your basic programming, all that stuff down. So which is the same as back home, right? um, yeah, and then finally, once you get a job, you're pretty much settled. But of course, there are more opportunities in terms of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship in the US, it's easy to start a company, but managing that from there on becomes a challenge, which is why most companies in the US and Canada right now are hiring from India, because the cost is it's cost effective for them to run the operation. So so these are the kind of hybrid situations that you arrive at, studying here at the US. Yeah, so these are the advantages and potential opportunities of studying here.
All right. Thank you for that, Krishna. So, uh, we might want to digress a bit right now. So, we have a few queries coming in from students. So, one question is, what is the cutoff marks to join this AI course abroad? So, could you tell us about, what is the selection criteria?
Yeah, so that I don't think there are cutoff marks. They have a minimum CGPA requirement of maybe, I think, ma'am, I'm not sure, 2.5 or 3
Three
CGPA out of
minimum of three we would look at.
Yeah, so three out of four would be your cutoff CGPA. But more important, this is like a basic cutoff, right? This is not very important. What is more important is your profile. So every college has their own like pros and cons. So for example, if you want to get into an Ivy League, obviously you need to have a very good score sheet, but also you also need to have these bunch of like hackathons and co-curriculars and so on and so forth. So the opportunities that you get when you have a profile and good academic score uh, is slightly different. So you'll be looking at maybe uh, a very competitive academic space in your college itself. So you need to pay attention to that. And in terms of like your co-curricular opportunities, obviously Ivy League schools will have greater funding, and they will have some projects that they're working on which are really important. But I feel like that is not what do you say, that may not be 100% fit for everybody. For example, for me, I require practical hands-on stuff. I cannot do academics, if I've not mentioned that before. So the thing is, University of Michigan offered exactly that for me, which is AI and CV, right? And you can work on your paper. You can, assignments are super chill in terms of like uh, time deadline and all that. So this may not be the case in every college that you choose. So you need to do a detailed research on what your college offers. Based on that, you'll be able to make like a prediction as to whether you'll get into this college or not. So some colleges obviously emphasize practical
Academics.
experience, co-curriculars, and all that.
Exactly.
But some
So
of
just
them I expect both.
absolutely. So for your case, it was more a practical experience, Krishna, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah. So
definitely.
to add on to that question again, so as Krishna rightly mentioned, he was someone who loved doing things while working, right? So we had his profile, which was very practical oriented. So when you're looking at, to answer questions like, is there a cutoff percentage or is there, limitations to the score or, any prerequisite that ways, if you're looking at top notch universities like CMU, for example, yeah, so some universities would actually look at your academic scores very closely, and some universities would look at what are the other things that you have done besides your academic. And that's how UMich becomes a very good and best fit for Krishna, because Krishna was looking for something which was more practical based, right? And he said, like, academics wasn't, because he was doing so much. I would not say he's bad at his academics. He is absolutely brilliant therein, but he was doing a lot of things outside of college. And even in the college he was a part of lot of clubs and chapters and all of that. So yeah, if you did not do well in one or two subjects, it doesn't really limit you to apply to universities in the US. But yes, to get into the best universities or the top ones, which actually looks at your academic qualification, I would say anything above 3 out of 4 is a, it could be a prerequisite for that university, and also they would look at your academic. Yeah, I think, Samarth, we have answered that question completely.
Yes. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, ma'am.
So moving on, is it necessary to have a background in CS, computer science, to do an MS in AI and machine learning?
So clearly not. So I'm an instrumentation undergrad. Like I just finished my instrumentation undergrad, and you don't need to have a CS background at all. What you need to have is basically, if you're going to switch branches in your masters, you need to be able to show them that you are very interested in the subject that you're applying for masters, and that you have some experience in this field. So for example, obviously, so when I'm switching from instrumentation to AI, I just showed them that I have been working on this on the side, like all these AI related, ML related projects. Yeah, I think that was the greatest plus in my profile in terms of switching branch from a non-CS branch to a CS branch. Again, so AI is not, I would not classify it as a CS branch because it has applications in different fields, and there are people from different backgrounds that come for AI, because AI is being used everywhere nowadays. So bottom line, just to conclude, is have an interest in, I mean, not have an interest, but also build your profile in the subject that you're applying for masters.
Yeah, a little add-on there. So absolutely, brilliantly put forward. So AI is not something that is a CS branch, I would say. It's multidisciplinary. And as Krishna, you mentioned, it's basically based on the project that you're handling with AI.
Yes, ma'am.
So we do have students coming from a medical background and yet looking for AI. We have students going from mechanical and going for AI. So AI tends to be very interdisciplinary, I would say. And yes,
Right.
as Krishna mentioned, it's more the project base and what kind of work we are really looking to apply an AI to. Yeah,
Right,
I
ma'am.
hope I am
Makes
right,
sense.
Krishna, right?
Makes sense. No, ma'am. What you said was exactly right. But especially bio, I know so many PhD guys and like masters guys who have a degree in like bioengineering or like something related to the medical field, and then they come into AI because AI is being used for uh, cell. I mean, cell detection and disease detection from that. And there is a lot of like bioengineering, genetic engineering that is happening, and that requires a lot of AI as well. And in terms of mechanical guys, we have like additive manufacturing, generative manufacturing, things that I would still use a lot of. I mean, so it's a booming field. So yeah, the non-CS branches like does not really matter. Just
I think
do what
even
you're
for
interested in.
students from commerce background, with business analytics and
Fintech,
all coming in, AI has a role
fintech.
there.
Yes, ma'am.
Fintech.
Uh, there's a lot of unicorns in India itself, which are fintech startups, and a lot of companies use computer vision for fraud detection and things like that. So it's really important.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question. How did you find the first few days at University of Michigan?
Yeah.
For our viewers, to give them more context. So at IDC in Study Abroad program, we also had a pre-departure session for our students who got enrolled abroad, right? So did you find that helpful, and did that help you in understanding, what to expect?
Oh yeah. So the first thing that I'd like to mention is homesickness is real. do not do not underestimate homesickness. And that was something that was mentioned in pre-departure session. And at the time, I was like, "Oh, I'll manage. It's not a problem." But when you get here, you realize that you're in a totally different country. Your basic thing that you're used to for the past 22 years, which is driving on the left side of the road, is no longer true, right? basic things like that, and groceries, uh, self checkout, and things like that is pretty hard in terms of just getting from point A to point B. Uh, yeah, so homesickness is real, guys, and that is something that I experienced the first few days here. In terms of my university, um, pre-departure session, they did mention about like what do you, in terms of, how do I put this? In terms of research assist, like job opportunities and internships and so on and so forth. uh, and I feel like that had an impact on me, and I feel like I had to get some, I had to interact with the resources that I had there. So yeah, it was good that they mentioned that, because I had no idea that you could do all this in here. I thought, you had to approach a professor just like in India, right? Approach a professor, wait for like 6 7 months, so on and so forth. But it's not like that here. It's very accelerated, and they mentioned that in pre-departure session, which is really important in getting this possible RShip that I'm doing right now. First few days in University of Michigan was completely different from my first few days in undergrad in VIT. Obviously, there's a lot of people that I'm meeting from different parts of the world in my class itself, and we're from Nigeria, Israel. There's a lot of people from the US, obviously, and it's nice to learn from their experiences, and they have like a slightly different way of doing things. For example, their basic math itself, the way they approach maybe simple division or subtraction, all these fundas are completely different. So it's fun to explore what their learnings are in terms of that. In terms of the campus itself, obviously, there's a lot of difference. Um, you don't have um, you don't have water filling stations. You have these things where you have to push and you have to drink from there, and that is something that you have to get used to here. And yeah, it's like very cold at night and moderately hot in the morning, and things are minor things of that was I had to get used to it in the first few days
Your
here.
food, Krishna, food, the Instapot
Oh
stuff.
man, food food was something that I am currently still figuring out. I got something called an instant pot, which is basically you throw everything and then just press a button. You have your rasam, khichdi, whatever. And yeah, I'm still getting used to cooking. It's not something I've done before, so that is something that you'll have to get used to in the first few days itself. Because first few days you'll get by with maybe instant stuff like your kurkure lays, all these things. But finally, you reach a point where you're like, I need actual nutrition, and this is where you learn to cook, basically. Yeah, it's pretty much it. Pretty much it in terms of my experience here, first few days. I think after that you get used to it.
All right, so we have a few more queries here. Let's address them. I would also require Ms. Parmada. So, would it be possible to pursue AI along with other streams such as psychology?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So you'll have to find colleges that actually give you that option. Uh, so I'm interested in philosophy, so I'll take a few electives maybe later on, but it may not reflect on your degree. But when you're applying for colleges, I mean, when you're applying for jobs related to this field, or you're applying for research related to this field, you can mention that you have experience with these courses in college itself. So number one, if you're able to find this combination in a few colleges, then yes. And If not, there are cognitive sciences in AI, which is almost like uh, getting to know what psychology is, basically understanding the human brain, which is a very big problem in AI. I mean, it's a problem that we're trying to solve, which is how do humans interact with the world, and requires a lot of introspection and research in terms of that, and applying it to a computer, which is something else. So cognitive sciences is a possible combination of AI and psychology.
Ms. Parmita, would you like to add?
Oh, this is such wonderfully put by Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely yes. If you are a psychology student, you might be doing your graduation, right? So it might be a good idea for you to start off learning at least Python while you're in school or in college. So a lot of
Oh yeah.
schools do offer humanities with IT, I think, as a combination, or information practices as a combination, where you learn SQL or you learn Python. So you can, even if you are a psychology student, you can take up this as a online course, and then look forward to doing your major in psychology. And as Krishna mentioned, it can be, AI can be a minor course for you. It could be the other way around as well. If you are, more from the sciences and you want to do something in AI, and psychology may be something that is a minor for you. So both the ways is possible. But yes, there is a possibility where a student with psychology can also go for AI, and cognitive science is one of the best example which combines AI with subjects like cognitive sciences. Yeah.
Okay, so we have another question here. I would say off topic, but you may choose to take this up or not. We could cover it in a separate session as well. So I am a non-IT background student and I want a career in the IT domain. So which course is good for starting?
So this is a very broad question, because IT varies from your basic data entry to uh, your UPI transactions. So it's a broad field. But in terms of where you want to get started, I'm assuming that you want to get started with web development or app development, which is what getting into IT generally means. There's no particular course. I would just say YouTube. How do I build a website? And or like or just YouTube. How do I build an app? And you'll get a lot of videos that you'll be thrown at with like different methods to do it, and go through like all of them. You just go through all of them and note down like what are the softwares that they're using, what are the architectures that they're using, and then open other tabs on Google and just Google all of these libraries and features. So yeah, so they'll basic in terms of web development, they'll be expected to know like HTML or like backend, if, again, as ma'am mentioned, SQL, and things like that. And yeah, you'll find that there are different front end scripts, there are different back end scripts, and you'll be exposed to all of them, which is good. And you basically Google it and build your own project, and that's how you learn the best. So there's no particular course. It's just the it's just what you search on Google. That's pretty much it.
And the grit, and you should have that grit to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested, you'll do it.
You'll do it.
If you're interested, you'll do it. Yeah.
All right, so I think we have come to the end of our question list. And
Okay.
if there are any other questions, please feel free to ask. And Krishna, if there's anything you would like to add, or Ms. Parmita, please go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to add a few quick pointers.
Sure.
Um, if you're interested in studying in the US, I mean, your SOP will guide you with that, but be very clear as to why you're coming here. Uh, Many people just come here and they're like, "Oh, I am going to earn $200,000 a year and send half of that back, and I'm going to live a good life here." And yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, that is one objective, but it has so much more to offer. There is so much more potential, and when you're writing your SOP, obviously you'll get to know all this. At the same time, maybe 15-20 years down the line, obviously India is in a rising position right now, and there is going to be, I mean, there are a lot of startups right now, and most of them are going to fail, and then there is going to be a second, what happened in the 90s here in the US. So there's going to be a second wave of startups that are going to come, and these startups will be key pillars of tech growth in the world, basically. So India is in a really good position right now, and maybe when you're planning for your masters or your education in the US, consider this factor as well. Your master's degree from the US obviously holds a very big value, and maybe you can combine that with the potential of India, or like potential of a lot of, even if you start a startup here, you can always tap into that. And yeah, so basically, don't just put your blinders on, be like, okay, I'm just going to come here, finish my masters, get my job, that's it. So there's a lot more that you can do. Yeah, I just wanted to say that there's a lot more you can do than just placements.
Right. Thanks for that, Krishna. Ms. Parmita, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, glad that we met Krishna in this platform. Though, I love interacting with him. All, the sessions that we had together, multiple sessions with brainstorming and, all of those stress related things with the SOP and all of that. I am sure, Krishna, you would say it was worth all those pain, right? Now where
Oh
you
yeah.
are today, yeah. So yes, for all the aspirants there who are looking forward to doing their masters in the US, any subject maybe, so we at IDC strongly believe that, you should know yourself. You should have a short term and a long term goal. If you're not very clear as to, how do you go about it, please do talk to a counselor, get that things in place so that you are able to do your application in the right manner. Right, so that's what we did with Krishna, a lot of brainstorming sessions, sitting, looking into course curriculum, and sitting down to write the SOPs. And we would go ahead, Krishna, why don't you do that? Why don't you put this? And at the end, we felt, wow, this is what we did, right? So one such thing was your video essay, Krishna. I can really not forget that. We were struggling to get the video essay, and when it actually came up at the end, it was so brilliant, right? So yes, there would be a lot of work. So when you're looking forward to doing your higher ed in countries like US or UK, Singapore, it's very important for you to understand why you want to do this. What is your short term and long term goal, and accordingly take the right kind of guidance so that you do your application in the right way and get into that right fit or the best fit college like Krishna is today. So I wish you all the best, and may you rise and shine. That's what we all want. Okay, and make your parents proud, make us proud, and make India proud.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It would not have been possible without your guidance, definitely. And I'd like to
We
thank
just showed
Parmita
you the
ma'am
light, definitely.
and Shilpa ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
But
Thank you.
you had all the potential, I'm sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much, Krishna, for joining. Thank you, Ms. Parmita, for joining and making today's session so interactive and insightful as well. And for our viewers, if there are any further queries, please do reach out to us on the number I have put up in the chat. And like ma'am mentioned, we have a program here as well. You can inquire about that by calling on that number. And we will see you next week for another weekly career class. So do stay tuned. Thank you and bye for now.
Bye. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye. Have a nice day, ma'am. I mean, it's morning there, right? No,
Yeah,
it's night there.
it's
Sorry.
evening there. It's
It's
5:30
evening.
in the evening, and it's morning, early evening for you. Yeah.
Yes.